There were some comments that were attributed to the Steelers general manager. He's Kevin Colbert, and he was talking about Ben Roethlisberger. He is unquestionably the leader, unquestioned leader of the locker room, who has the freedom to publicly criticize teammates if he sees fit, according to the general manager. He's the elder statesman and the Super Bowl winner. The GM told a group of local reporters Wednesday, if our players were smart, they'd listen to him because he's been there, he's done that. He can tell them, no, guys, what you're doing is or is not good enough to do this. Now, you go back to Week 12. After a loss to Denver, Roethlisberger said on his weekly radio show that Antonio Brown should have run a flatter route at the goal line. He added he wished that he had thrown to Juju Smith-Schuster instead. Brown took exception to that. He has since tweeted Roethlisberger had an owner's mentality because of his willingness to call out players and coaches. The general manager points out Roethlisberger is the only Steeler left from this Super Bowl team. And he said, I honestly believe that can be a burden on him more often than he may like to admit because he's got 52 kids under him, quite honestly, end quote. Kids? What? Is he running an orphanage here? Man. If I'm in, this doesn't play well in the locker room. If I'm 28, 29 years of age and I got a GM who's saying, hey, Ben can call me out, so nobody can call Ben out. And is Ben truly a leader on this team? Because when they won, they had some leaders, some older players, some veterans on the defense there. James Harrison or Ferrier, Troy Polamalu. And maybe if they didn't lead by words, they led by example there. You had Hines Ward, Bettis. So they've had leaders in there. I just don't know, does Ben want to be a leader? I mean, it's one thing to call out your players. Does that really help? How about you talk to your players? Like, who says you have to go on your radio show to call them out? Right? I mean, we have fun here on this show, but if there was something serious with the Danettes, then I would talk to them privately about that. The other stuff is for show, where we have fun. But if you're Ben and you're trying to be a team leader and you got 52 other guys, I mean, you know how the media is going to react to this. Remember when Peyton Manning called out his offensive line? Dan Marino used to do it. Like he'd call out his teammates on the field in the moment and be visibly upset. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. It feels like you could still get the message across in a way that is not embarrassing that player. Where you say, and maybe Antonio Brown is not going to listen to Ben. I understand that. And maybe we put his ego to the side and you're dealing with these other players. So is Ben going to call out T.J. Watt? I mean, where do you start? Where do you stop? I don't think that's beneficial. But I think if Ben says to T.J. Watt, hey, you know what? You took that route to get to the quarterback. This is the route that always gives me problems when I see a defender. When I see somebody who's rushing up the middle, okay, so now I can talk to you man to man instead of going on a radio show and calling them kids. Yes, Paul.
Do you think this comes down to just siding with the quarterback over all others is the culture in football today, that everyone's replaceable but him? Or do you think there's more to it? That's my first reaction was, wow, I know the quarterback's the most important guy on the team, but this isn't going to play well in the locker room.
No, I don't like hearing this. I know we get caught up in the moment, and coaches will do this. Coaches always preach, hey, make sure that you have your emotions under control, and then they act like idiots on the sideline. I want my quarterback to be a leader. Well, what is a leader? Hey, I'm going to go on a radio show where I'm paid to go on there, and they want some content, so I'm going to call you out. Yes, Eden.
Like, if your quarterback is the leader, do you need to say it to the press? I mean, like, does anybody doubt that Tom Brady's in charge of that locker room? Probably not.
I don't know why he said it, unless with Le'Veon Bell leaving and Antonio Brown almost out the door, just to reestablish that Ben is our guy. the timing of it was interesting too. That I know you're meeting with reporters talk about Antonio Brown, but hey, I just want to remind everybody, including our 52 kids in the locker room, that Ben is your leader. Yeah, I was surprised with the timing of that.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.